Well, hello everybody. This is meteorologist Andrew Pinero. So it's been a little while since I've been on. I've been on vacation and it got a little busy at one of my other jobs. So it's been a while. I'm not doing a full weather podcast with the green screen and everything. Just did a quick little simple setup. So we're just gonna get right to a little weather discussion here. So it is almost Christmas. It's a few days before that. And the big question on everybody's mind though, will it be a white Christmas? Well, let's talk a little bit about that coming up in the forecast graph, in the forecast models that I'm going to show you here. So let's start by switching over to my computer camera here. And now, let me move the microphone. There we go. If that was loud, I'm sorry. So here, we're going to start a couple of forecast models. So I'm going to start with the NAM. Actually, let me rearrange some of these. Let's save the Canadian with a little special surprise there. So let me see. Oh, do I have the GFS? Let me get the GFS up in 1 second there. Actually, we'll start with the NAM first then. So this is, I'm recording this a little bit earlier in the day and it's just uploading tonight. So we're going to see a little bit of interesting things though with the weather, no matter when I was recording it today. So with the NAM, pretty quiet for today. Then when we fast forward here, stays pretty dry, high pressure moves in until we get to Friday. So Friday morning, this is where a couple of the forecast models start to divulge here, or divert I should say. So right in here, the blue is snow, the pink is a mix, and then the green there, that is just rain, and then this is ice and sleet. So, we're just seeing lower Hudson Valley there, looks like a little bit of mixing, even going up into the center part of the state right around Albany, the capital district. But we are not really going to see anything too much for Friday. And that's pretty much what all the forecast models are showing. And then so it's going to start out maybe a little bit frozen, a little mixed. Then by the time we get to the afternoon and the evening, this is when the surge of warmth comes in. The unseasonably warm weather that we're going to be seeing for Saturday. Saturday, just a little tease, can get up to near 60 degrees, which is very unusual for December in the tri-state region. So this is Friday night at about 7 p.m. We're seeing just regular rain showers until you get up to the northern part of New York State, going into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine up there. That's when we're still seeing snow, but at least for the tri-state, looks like it's going to be rain ending the day on Friday. And then for Saturday, it looks like it's going to be a wet day. So this is the NAM, remember. This is showing. It's very narrow, this band. And the yellow, that's not actually thunderstorms, it just means really heavy rain. So that stays, it looks like, mostly offshore here. And this narrow band pretty much stays throughout the day until the tail end of it. The heavy stuff right there, that's where we're seeing these dark greens and the yellows. That's where we're going to be seeing some pretty intense periods of rain. And this is late in the day on Saturday. This is just about 4 p.m. on Saturday. Then overnight Saturday into Sunday, pretty much clears out. Sunday looks like a fairly dry day, but look at these isobars here. They're fairly close together, so still looks like it's going to be a little bit breezy. So that's the NAM. Now let's switch to the GFS here. And let me back up on the GFS to today. So this is overnight tonight. Still dry. Then when we look at early morning on Friday, so this is where it's a little bit of a difference between the GFS and the NAM. This is showing a little bit slower with this precipitation, but it's still cold between this red dashed or dotted line and the blue dotted line. That's right in between there, where in the upper atmosphere at least, that's where the freezing point kind of is, based off of thickness levels of the 500 millibar level. So that is going to show some freezing line starting to make its way north. That's where, maybe in the Hudson Valley there, that's where it's just going to be rain, but the northern Hudson Valley, going more north of that, in the higher elevation, Sullivan, Ulster County, that's where it could be a little bit more of mixing. So that's where the GFS is a little bit warmer than the NAM, which is something I've seen throughout all of my experiences here. So that's for Friday, and then Saturday, This is showing the low pressure center making its way through. Saturday does look like a pretty wet and nasty day, so it's going to be warm though. This is where that surge of warmth is coming in. And then this is about 7 p.m. Saturday, still lingering around. This is 1 a.m. Saturday, still there. And then going into Sunday, that's when it finally dries out by about dawn on Sunday. And it looks like the isobars are not as close together during Sunday on the GFS as it was in the NAM. So maybe still just a little bit of a breeze. I'm just based off of the way this looks, maybe around 10 to maybe 15 mile per hour winds. But this is something that's really a bit more of an art form, looking at isobars determining wind speed versus looking at an actual graphical output of wind speed. So that's the GFS. And then, the NAM, that was pretty much as far as it went out before. It was Sunday. The GFS, though, is a long-range model. So with this, we can take a look at Christmas Day. Or Christmas Eve, at least, for Santa's trip. Looks like it's going to be cold, and it looks like we may see again. This is where the forecast models have been jumping around day by day, or run by run as well. So Monday morning, Christmas Day at about 7 a.m. If you happen to be up at that time, opening up gifts, it looks like it's going to be breezy. These isobars do get very close together, and we could see a little bit of some snow showers. Maybe a little bit of a coating, nothing really too much out of this, but we may get just a few flakes to make it look nice throughout the day on Christmas, but not really a true white Christmas with snow blanketing the entire area. So that's what the GFS says, and let's take a look at some of these other ones. The European, that one we're going to save for a little bit later as well, because that one really just shows temperature from this website. Then a couple others. This one is just a regular RPM model. This is one of the proprietary models from IBM. The other one is the Watson supercomputer one, which is the Deep Thunder project. I'll show you in a little bit. So this one, when we go through, this is going into Thursday. Not really anything. This one just going by half hour at a time, so it's a little bit slower to get through. But looks to be pretty dry. And now we're getting into Friday morning. Now watch what this one does. It doesn't do much in terms of the frozen precipitation there. It stays pretty much north. And then later in the day, some spotty showers come through, and that's pretty much it. Then when we take a look at Friday night going into Saturday morning, this is when we start seeing some more moderate or light rain. And then throughout the day, the heaviest rain, it looks like it keeps it just going through the southern half of Jersey and then going out into the Atlantic, maybe just barely scraping the Twin Forks area of Long Island. Then that's pretty much drying out then. This looks like the 23rd at about 18, so 18Z is 1 p.m. Alright, so nothing really too much there. And that looks like as far out as that 72 hours. Yep, that's 72 right there. That's as far out as this forecast model goes. So that was pretty much the end of that one. Nothing really too exciting or impressive. Doesn't go as far out as Christmas Day. So let's move on to the next one, which is the Watson Supercomputer IBM Deep Thunder project, which does go out to Christmas. So let's take a look at that. So this is today. Let's keep that going. This is going to tomorrow. It's still dry. The high is mostly in place and then starts to break up by the time we get to Friday. Now watch this. Oh, right there. This time, let's back up one. Right, this is still Friday morning. And it looks like this one is showing the cold air is still going to be in place enough to have snow. Not even just frozen, not even just like a mix, but pretty much just some light snow. Nothing real. I don't think it's going to really stick because it's not very intense, but we may be seeing a little bit of snow showers according to this. So for Friday, I'm pretty much going to say a little bit of a mix to start out with. Maybe just some plain snow showers, especially in those higher elevation areas. Then later on in the day, it looks like this is going to warm up and that all that snow or frozen precipitation is going to start to turn to regular rain. Then when we take a look at Saturday during the day, that's where the low pressure center comes through. This also shows the bulk of the rain pretty much stays offshore. And then right back here, the back side of this is something, a meteorological phenomenon called wraparound snow. So with the low pressure system, we have counterclockwise rotation. And as the counterclockwise rotation is pulling down cold air from the northwest, it's cooling down this precipitation behind the cold front there. So this is where we could see some snow showers, but this is western Pennsylvania, western New York, going into Ohio. However, this probably won't make its way into our area because most of the moisture is going to be done by the time we get to later in the day. However, overall, this is a little bit slower. So this has some precipitation still lingering through till about noon on Sunday. And then it pretty much dries out by the time we get to Sunday afternoon, Christmas Eve. Good traveling. It's going to be dry, though. Again, it looks like for Santa's sleigh right through this area. So maybe not really a white Christmas there. And then for Christmas Day, looks pretty dry as well. And this is the early morning hours, 1 a.m. This is 7 a.m. on Christmas Day. This really doesn't have anything. Just a few little snow showers once you get up to a little bit more north and west, especially into western New York, but that could also be a little bit of a lake effect snow thing. And I think that's pretty much as far as this one goes out. Let's see where it stops, right about there, which is 1 p.m. on Monday. So the overall thing, what I'm thinking of for Christmas, is going to be a starting out maybe a little bit wet, but changing over later in the day to just some snow showers. So rain to a mix to snow showers by the end of the day, but there's not really a lot of precipitation there for it to work with. So it's not really anything too impressive for Christmas Day, but overall it's not going to be a bad travel day. Anyway, once you get later in the day, if you start traveling back home on Christmas Day night and then going into the next day, nothing really too much. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you here, some of the outliers. One of them is the Canadian. And I know a couple of colleagues of mine, especially if you follow Joe Chaffee on YouTube or any of the other social media posts that he does, the Canadian is one that I'd say, from my experience, is the least reliable, and he definitely talks about that as well. So with that, let's take a look at this one. This is specifically going with the rain for the weekend. Not really any snow going into Christmas Day. But the one thing I wanted to show you that I thought was very interesting. So going through Friday, it's pretty much the same as the others. Then on Saturday, so let's go into Saturday. It looks pretty dry compared to, let me see if I have any of the other ones up here. Here's the GFS. Let me see if I go back to Saturday. That's the picture on the GFS for Saturday. And this is the Canadian. Quite different. And the Canadian's the only one that's showing this dry or mostly dry on Saturday. Then Sunday, it's where the bulk of the rain comes through, and then a little bit of mixing going on there once you get to in the Hudson Valley, north of Orange County, so that's Sullivan-Ulster area. This is the only one that's going by this. And from my experience, I'm going to throw this one out and not even take that into consideration or anything. So that was one of the other interesting ones. And then the European really just shows the temperature from this website. So this is today, showing fairly moderate temperature, not really that deep cold that's up there in Canada. Then we're going to see, this is the big thing, that surge of warmth coming in for Saturday. Again, Saturday we could see in the upper 50s to maybe near 60 degrees in some regions. And then that stays through, and then Sunday, and then starts cooling down. Then Monday, this is where this very harsh freezing line is pretty much there, where we're going to start out maybe a little bit wet, some regular rain turning into a mix, turning into regular snow showers maybe by the afternoon. And then going into Tuesday, this is where our deep cold comes in with that kind of purpley whitish kind of color. And we're going to be back down to in the 30s for high temperatures. So we just have that little bit of a roller coaster of temperatures for this weekend. Pretty much done with this. Let me switch back to the main camera now. So that was pretty much it. Let me readjust this here. Yeah, so overall, it looks like Friday morning could maybe be a little bit of mixing or just a few flakes. Then it gets warmer during the day, and that's when it turns to regular rain. Rain showers overnight Friday into Saturday. Saturday looks like a pretty showery, rainy, kind of wet day, but it will be a little bit more tolerable since it could be near 60 degrees. Then for Sunday, it looks pretty dry. I'm going to call that kind of partly cloudy, but maybe a tad bit breezy. Christmas Eve, and then for Christmas Day, it looks like we're going to maybe start out as wet precipitation, then turning into a little mix here and there, and then maybe ending the day with some snow showers, but no accumulations out of that, nothing really that's going to make it look like a white Christmas, but it's going to start end the day cold, so it's going to be a little bit of a sprinkly confectionery sugar treat, pretty much. And then going into Tuesday, that's when the cold really takes back into effect, and we're going to be seeing the high temperatures topping off only in the 30s. So this wasn't the usual Wednesday night podcast, but I just wanted to get a little discussion out there on what my thoughts are for the upcoming Christmas weekend. Have a great night, everybody. And if I don't hear from you, or if I don't see you or talk to you guys or put up anything through the rest of the holiday weekend, I'll say have a Merry Christmas to all those that celebrate, and stay safe out there, everybody. Have a great night.